Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Thanks for joining us again on another episode of Career Bound by Praxis. We had a lot of fun last week when we were doing live resume breakdowns. We thought that kind of content format was useful, valuable, engaging, plus it was fun to do. So we want to repeat that, not with resumes today. We talked a lot about sort of entry-level jobs or designing resumes for specific jobs as a way to increase your likelihood of being a good candidate. Well, let's go to the other side of the table today. We're going to actually we already picked a handful of totally random entry-level roles. We haven't really spent much time other than we found these on different jobs boards. They loosely fit some job titles of entry-level roles that are popular. And we're going to break those down. We're going to talk about some things that we might do if we were applying to those roles early on in our career with limited experience, and offer sort of that perspective. This coupled with the resume review, I think is really useful content if you're at the start of your career. You don't have a ton of experience. You're looking looking for ways to stand out on the job market, increase your likelihood of getting picked for the job or for the interview. So this ought to be a lot of fun. All right, John, set us up with the first job.
Here we go.
Let's dive in.
All right, first one started out with just this front desk receptionist at this chiropractic office in Wilmer, Minnesota. Sorry to any locals if I didn't pronounce that properly.
Minnesota. Wilmar.
But there we go.
I have been there, actually.
Have you really?
Cold. Yeah, I have. Very cold. Very cold. So one thing I'll say is we didn't really do much due diligence on the specific businesses or anything like this. We're really looking at job titles that might be common entry level roles. Quickly glanced at sort of the experience requirements. So put on the shelf whether this is like the dream job or not, and we'll focus a little bit more about some of the tangibles that we know. We know it's a front desk receptionist job. We know it's roughly entry level. We know it's at a chiropractic office and it's in person. It says 32 hours per week, so not quite full time. We got four 8-hour shifts, but it's an in-person office job. You're answering the phone, scheduling appointments, taking payments, insurance information, scanning. So you're kind of like the person there when people walk in the door, chiropractic patients, and you're sort of the front line of defense, making sure that the people running the show in the back, their schedules are full, clients are coming in on time, the train's running smoothly. So I'll just kind of dive in, John, and then I want your thoughts on this too. So this is a role that I think it's not one where, unless you have a ton of experience doing this exact thing or working in a chiropractic office or doing some type of like medical billing or medical administrative work, like it's not one that I think you need to have a ton of past experience to be able to create an edge for yourself. I think, table stakes, I'm reliable, dependable, I'm smart, I'm willing to learn, eager to learn. I have the right appearance for the job. So I'm well groomed. I show up polished. When I come to apply for the job in person, I look the part. I look the part of somebody that would be a good ambassador for this business. Like the bright, smiling, sunshiny face, like you're somebody who's like personable and you're willing to just like, you're conversational. You have that sort of like warm demeanor about you. Those are kind of like the bare minimum things. So how do you signal that? Like that's much easier to signal in person or on video. So I would say keep both of those in mind as you think about your approach to this job. I personally would do a little bit of both. I would apply. I would create some type of online application, given the job posting is online, and then I would actually go in person and I would show up and I would bring my resume. I would dress well. But some of the things that I would do, and this is why I would do it online as well. If I had no experience whatsoever, let's just say I'm 18 to 22 and I have the average 18 to 22-year-old's work experience. Maybe I've worked in retail or like a fast food restaurant, but I haven't like worked an office job or something like that. So how am I going to stand out? So I would, I would, first of all, I would say if you don't know how to use a computer, this job is not for you. Like that's like table stake stuff. You're
Yeah.
18 to 22-year-old in this world. Like hopefully you know how to use, navigate your way around a computer. But one of the things that I will say is you're probably not working on a brand new MacBook Pro or something like that. You're probably working on um, some type of PC based computer with
Yeah.
PC based software that may or may not be a little bit archaic depending on like how modern the chiropractic office is, like what software stack they're using. So it would be useful for you to know how to use basic things like Microsoft Office, Microsoft Outlook email server. Like you know how to use Outlook. You know how to use a digital calendar of some type. You know how to use so Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel. You roughly understand the idea of billing. So client comes in for service, you charge them. In the medical world, you understand there's also insurance filing. So like you don't necessarily have to know how to do all these things, but you need to be smart enough to be able to be trained quickly on how these processes are in place. This chiropractic office probably already has some processes in place. So some things that I might do is I might go watch a handful of videos about medical billing for
Yeah.
chiropractic offices. I might see if there's any like quick things that I can learn just to familiarize myself with the language. And then I might try to understand what this business is doing somehow. Either I'd call, or in my video, I would have some questions, or I would, maybe go visit in person when you apply. What I would do is I would kind of map out a workflow so I kind of understood how this worked, but I would also want to communicate to them. And again, this is why we're doing sort of the online and in-person approaches. I would kind of map out a workflow of, hey, in my video that I'm going to send to them with my resume and online application, I would call out, hey, I don't have a ton of experience, but I'm super excited about this role. This is my opportunity to get my foot in the door in an office environment,
Yeah.
which I think would be a great experience. I'm excited about the challenge of learning new things. And I want to tell you why I would make a great candidate for this role, even though you're probably considering candidates who have more experience than me and maybe even more relevant skills. So blah, 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 blah. Here's what I'm willing to do. Focus on your soft skills. But without even being interviewed, without even having any indication that you're going to consider me for the job, here's some things that I went ahead and took the initiative
Yeah.
to do. I wanted to show you that I'm willing to learn, I'm able to learn, and I've already begun to sink my teeth into these things that I don't know. So I familiarize myself with sort of the basics of medical billing software. If you know which software they're using, that's even better. I have identified a couple of courses that I can take to help me skill this up, or a couple of YouTube channels. I've
Yeah.
already begun to do this. Some simple things like that, in addition to the right soft skills. I would say that's sufficient enough in some type of video pitch. And then when you go in person, you have, you dress nice, you have your resume on nice cardstock, it's printed off, even if it doesn't have a ton of experience, and you call that out in your initial conversation. Like, listen, I'm very excited about learning about this. Here's some things I already did. I'd love to learn more about what you're already doing, or what are some of the pain points outside of just, obviously you need a body here. You need somebody to answer the phones, but like, what are some other things that would be, valuable in this role? And it's something as simple as that. And so I'll put the caveat out is, when you apply to this role, I would say if this is an interesting role to you in any capacity, and I'm gonna also caveat by saying maybe you're not in Wilmar, Minnesota, but you're just generally looking for front desk receptionist
Like
jobs
this.
in
Yeah.
any type of like medical environment. Is like, go ahead and map out the landscape of these types of jobs in your geographic locale. So like, there's probably 10 or 15 of these types of jobs, and so approach this with the mindset of like, hey, if I don't get this job, I am specifically targeting this type of role. And I'm going to build this approach I'm going to repeat it until I get hired in this type of role. I'm going to do these types of things every time. And each rep, I'm going to try and learn from that rep. If I don't get hired, I'm going to try and learn, what are some things I could do better on the next one. So that's ultimately some of the simple things that I would do. I don't think it has to be way more over the top than this. Given it's an in-person small business, small chiropractic shop, you probably don't have a ton of experience. They're not looking for a ton.
Yeah. I don't have a ton to add. You covered a lot. The only two things I would say is it would probably be very helpful for a candidate. So if you're 18, 19, 20, just don't have a lot of experience, looking to get something semi-consistent, get experience in an office, working with people, like in some kind of small business, this is what you've settled on. If you're looking at a role like this, calling the office isn't a terrible idea. If you just want to call and even if you don't want let's say you haven't gotten to the send a video intro yet, you just want to call and say hey, I'm interested. I saw you guys had posted this role, so I figured I could call and kind of see you could just ask something basic when you were looking to get it filled by, or when you guys were doing interviews, because I'm really interested. And that's just one thing. Any kind of conversation to just immediately have a real life interaction, even though it's on the phone, is good. That's just a good thing, but it kind of falls in line with the video. And just the other aspect about this that I think is good is by highlighting I'm excited about the opportunity to learn different things that I don't know, to work in an environment I've never worked in before. When you show those positives and that you're young and you lack experience, and this is a great opportunity for you to get experience and to hopefully be helping in an office, without saying it, because you don't always want to say this, but what that does is it creates a little bit of a contrast with the person who's maybe, and I mean this in a very gentle way, who's maybe in their 40s and just doesn't have a job, and they saw this come up and they just needed to go get a job. And I don't mean to paint that person in a very negative light, and that's why I say you don't want to say this. But what it does is, wow, if I'm this chiropractor and I'm overseeing who I want to hire, I might want the young, hungry, excited person who's just getting started out over the person who is whatever, I just need a job and I'm in my 40s and I just life hasn't gone well, that.
Yeah.
You don't want to call that out, but by pointing out the positive, it does sets that contrast up.
100%. It's a great, I always think this is an often overlooked thing, but I always think that this is a unique advantage, especially for these small business roles, is when you're applying to a job, you are competing against other people. Okay. Identifying ways that you can contrast yourself in a positive way to the likely other candidates in the pool is great. And so this is one, who's likely applying for it is probably not the 18 to 20-year-old. And there's probably some of those, this is a good job where I think you got somebody who's going to, they're going to school, they're going to college, or they're going to nursing school, or they're a pre-med student, or they're, they're somehow in that world and they've got part-time availability. Now, 32 hours per week, maybe you're eliminating a lot of those students, but maybe they're going to night school. So there might be a small pool of that, but likely it's somebody in a slightly different life stage. And so if you can position yourself as this young, hungry, energetic person who's eager to learn, I think it's even better if you have a story that's this is the direction I want to take my career, but I'm just at the start and I'm really trying to break into this industry. That's a really compelling story if it's true. One final thing that I'll say here. Okay. So this works great at every level of job up to a certain size. So it's better for startups, small businesses, companies that probably have 200 to 500 employees or fewer. But once you get into the corporate world, it's not really as effective, but it's phenomenal for small businesses. Send these people, go get a basket. Go to Hobby Lobby or, wherever, some Walmart, Target, something like this. Go buy a wicker basket and buy a dozen oranges and print your resume off in that basket, and then wrap it up nice with a bow and hand deliver it when you go, something silly like that. And again, I say it's silly, but we talked about this in the last episode. You're trying to do two things when you're on the job hunt. First, you are trying to get attention. Second, you're trying to signal value. So attention first. You can't signal value if somebody didn't give you the time of day. That tactic, that's an attention grabbing tactic, but it's specifically designed to position you in somebody's mind as like, hey, they really went to this effort. They're flattering me. Okay. I'm going to give them 5 minutes of my time. So you've created the opening for the opportunity to signal value. So something like that, especially for a chiropractic office, I think is great. You do like, a nice fruit basket or something like that. You can pick anything, but
Sure.
something like that is a great way to stand out.
Yeah. Sometimes that's something like that may feel awkward, but it goes a long way. Like, especially if you're like the younger, just like trying to gain experience. Like, this sounds corny, but like it makes the office feel special. They're like, oh, like this person like is going to be awesome. Like they really care about this. And it's just like you're grabbing attention either way.
Yeah. Right, so I'll digress and tell one simple story here that's somewhat related, because the fruit basket's a great way to stand out. So actually, this is a Praxis alumni did this. Applying to a marketing job is a remote position too. Knew that the founder CEO really liked Chipotle. Ordered a burrito. I think it was a burrito. Ordered a burrito from Chipotle with like extra guac and like all this, and had it sent to the house, like Grubhub to the house. And I think, she had sent some type of pitch as well. But he wasn't home. His wife was home. Neither one of them ordered. And so there was like this burrito set on their doorstep. And it became this kind of thing where it's like, they were both panicked a little bit and confused and concerned. And the CEO got, he kind of laughingly said, is like, was this a bomb? Was this like burrito a bomb? The burrito bomb, incident. But it's hilarious because, obviously she was well-meaning, but it's one of those things that's like, that's a story that's timeless. It's never going to be forgotten. You want to stand out, like something like that is totally outrageous. But she did end up getting hired. But more importantly, like obviously, like getting hired is the ultimate goal there. But you did something that was so out of the norm that it stood out, and like nobody could ever possibly stand out more than that in that particular scenario. I love that story, but anyway, I digress. Let's move on to the next one.
Let's do it.
Yeah, the burrito bomb incident. All right.
Let's go over to
let's rock and roll.
It should be Sharon. All right, here we go. Let's go over to this SDR role that we found. So they call out entry level in the post, like right in the title, which is good.
Let's see. You got the screen share on that one.
Sorry, I thought it switched over automatically. Here we go. All right, so
here we go.
SDR role over at is it Intaker or Intaker? I don't know how.
Intaker, maybe.
Yeah, probably Intaker.
Probably Intaker.
Yeah.
We build innovative software tools for law firms to automate their client intake. Yeah, probably Intaker.
Okay. All right, so SDR role. They call out in the description here, your transition to tech sales starts here. So first of all, that's just a great, like, if you have no experience, this is like, I'm eating this up. Like, I'm going all in on this particular role because they're willing to take somebody just by saying that. Hypergrowth tech startup in LA. Here, they have a growth program, SDR growth program, and Intaker is designed to take junior SDR's careers to the next level within 12 to 18 months of joining. I mean, do you have anything right away? Right away, I'm just like, I'd be pumped seeing that. Like, if I'm reading this and I'm looking for this job, like, they're like, okay, like, this is the path to growth at this company. Like, this is what we want. So, like, these are all really good signs.
Yeah, I mean, what it screams to me is that this is an experienced team. It's a team that has built an SDR team before, which likely means you're going to be surrounded by people who are competent and know what they're doing. To have all of this sort of systematically thought out, they're probably a little bit later stage, if I had to guess, just based on that. They're like probably Series A, Series B, and again, like, without even making a value judgment about this role, why it's attractive, which I think, some of these things definitely jump out. It's in LA, so they take that for what it's worth. But what I like about it is that it screams entry level. It literally says it in the job title up at the top. says sales development representative, entry level. And then it has this language in the job. And so, and the compensation down at the bottom is commensurate with entry level sales wages.
Yeah.
So all of that, it is funny that they they then call out a bachelor's degree and minimum 1 year experience, even though they say it's entry level. So all of that, put all that to the side. How would we go about this? So one of the things that jumped out to me immediately when I saw this, when you're sharing this job description, is they tell you what they do and who their customers are for. Software tools for law firms to automate their client intake. Here's an easy thing. So easy value proposition. Law firms are very easy to find. I think I'd spend 5 to 10 minutes on their website trying to understand their ICP, so ideal customer profile. Are they working with small law firms? Are they working with large law firms? I mean, working with small law firms, probably not their primary market. If they're doing software, like most small law firms, probably not spending a ton of money on that. They don't have anybody to implement it, but maybe so. But maybe it's like they're looking for law firms that have like 10 attorneys or more, all the way up to these large corporate entities. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go spend a couple hours doing research, building a list of law firms that could use this platform. And I don't think you have to look just in LA. Obviously, those are somewhat accessible for you. But they're selling software, so they're probably working with clients all over the United States. So I'd go build a lead list of anywhere from 10 to 100 law firms that fit the criteria that I've identified from their website. I would attempt to find contact information of someone who is likely the decision maker for that. I would not just find their name, but their email address, phone number. If you really want to take it to the next level, build out a short little email campaign, cold outreach campaign. I would package that up in some type of presentation. I would go look for who the VP of sales is at Intaker, at this company.
Yeah.
I would try and find their phone number and email address. I would record a short video. Hey, saw this role, super excited about this. I'm actually trying to break into tech sales right now. Want to tell you, a little bit more about my experience, but first and foremost, I want you to know how excited I am that I went ahead and took the liberty of building out, this short lead list to show you that I'm already, hitting the ground running in this role, how I can come in and be valuable from day one. I built out this mini sales campaign. I want to give it to you for free. All I'm looking for is just 15 minutes of your time to convince you why I'm going to be the right person for this role. Record that video, cold email them, cold call them, pick up the phone. This is 90% of your job in the job is you're actually picking up the phones, cold emailing, and you're going to repeat the exact same thing. Hey, Jack, just noticed that you're, saw this role. I want to give you a quick call. I'm so-and-so. Here's what I'm willing to do. Can I find 15 minutes on your calendar next Tuesday or Thursday? Let's talk about how I can be, the right person for this role. You do stuff like that. Nobody cares if you don't have a degree, especially in an SDR role. Nobody cares. But show them you can do the job before you get the job. I don't really have a ton more to add, but that's loosely the approach I would take.
I mean, that's like do the job to get the job. That is like the best approach for, at least for SDR jobs, like breaking into sales, particularly tech sales. That's the way to do it, because that's what's going to be honored. That's what they're looking for. One key too is everything you said is accurate. You want to send that email with the video. You want to cold call them, leave them a voicemail. You could text them if you have their number. Like, it's a sales role. Like, you could leave a follow-up text like along with the voicemail. The percentage of people that do those outreaches, the more uncomfortable the outreaches, the lower the percentages of people who do it. So everybody's going to, not everybody, the majority of people that do some outreach in addition to applying, they're going to send a LinkedIn DM. So you could do that.
Yep.
But then email, that's probably maybe half of that. A follow-up email is probably even less than that. The cold call, the voicemail, the text, like, if you just go all in,
you want to hammer them with a sales campaign.
Heck yeah. Like, you want them in a drip campaign.
Go look at their link. Go poke them, look at the VP of sales LinkedIn profile. He's got to get a notification.
Yeah.
Send a connection request and do this all, don't do it all literally exact same time. Do it over like 3 to 5 days.
Yeah.
And deploy this full campaign. You said something funny, I think is definitely worth calling out. We talked earlier about, you're competing against other people. You're trying to gain context, or at least you're trying to find a way to contrast yourself as against the likely candidate pool in a positive way. So the top of that job posting on LinkedIn, right under the title, it said over 100 applicants. So let's just say there were 100 applicants to this. You know how many likely did what we just talked about? Probably 2 to 3 tops, if I had to guess. If any, 2 to 3 tops did any of the things that we just talked about.
Yeah.
People just don't do that. Even for sales SDR roles where it's obvious that's what you're trying to signal, like people don't do that. They probably packaged up their resume, put their degree on there, polished it up, hey, I've got a degree, hire me for this sales role. Like it's just, you want to send this right signal for the right job. And what we just talked about, that's about as good of a signal as you can get, especially if you don't have the right past experience.
And there's a couple things to note too, before we move on. When you're doing that, you have so much to your advantage because the hiring manager is going to be like, it's not so much about like the quality. It's not even that much about the quality of your outreach or like how specific you can get. Like the manager's not thinking like, oh, like his email, like that he's going to send to this prospect that he found, like it's not the best, or it's not how we do it. They're not going to be focused on that. They're going to be more focused on, wow, this person is like really trying and doing all the right things that I want them to do. So when they're here, I just need to coach them. Like, this is great. You're just, like you just said, you're just sending a signal that you're capable and willing to do the things that you're going to have to do in this job, because that's what it's going to take. And that's the beauty of it, is like, you don't even have to know that much about the software, to be honest. Like, you just have to be willing to do what it looks like. You have to be willing to do what it takes.
Yeah, well, it's much easier to coach on content than it is to coach on behaviors. So if somebody's already demonstrating the right pattern of behavior for a role, the content becomes so much less important.
Yeah.
But if you're not doing the right behavior, so I said behaviors, like you have this posture of being somebody who's totally comfortable doing outbound, which is the job. You've demonstrated the right behaviors. You've picked up the phone. You've done the email. You've done the cold outreach. You've done some prospecting. You've done a little bit of campaign design. You've like taken initiative. You've put yourself out there. You've hustled. You've showed this like willingness to follow up and do all of these things, which I think all remarkable behaviors for an SDR. Those are the things that contribute to success. The content of those emails is much less important, because that's something that's easier to coach up than it is to get somebody who can write really good emails to actually have the courage to pick up the phone, or have the courage to send the email. That's harder to coach than it is to just help somebody improve their copywriting or improve their phone manner or something like that. So something to keep in mind there.
One other thing to call out here, I just noticed this. This is gold. Like, if you're looking at this job posting and you want this job, you're going to sit down and you're going to go find a decent 30, 60, 90 day template, and you are going to make it scream this in really, really nice writing, because this is your golden ticket to at least an interview.
Yeah. Whoever like, whatever VP of sales is behind this, they're probably so good, because this is one of the better job descriptions I've seen in a long time, across any role, but specifically for SDR. Like, this gives you all of the answers to the test. And I guarantee you, if they went to that level of detail, if you don't know some of these things when you're on the phone with them, like, you're already hosed. Like, you should have done, they literally told you what the path to success. So if you're able to work some of that into your talk track when you're cold calling them, or you do get an interview, you're already golden. And better yet, if you've done some of these things, so you've done some research on the product suite, and you've learned everything you can from their online presence. Maybe you've gotten into their funnel somehow. You've reached out to a couple SDRs on their team to try and learn a little bit more. Like, it tells you the answers to the test. Take advantage of that.
Yeah, that's good. We can leave
All
it
right,
at
we
that. There's
beat
probably
this
more we
one.
could do,
We
but
yeah.
let's jump over to this
Let's
this
roll
other
on
one.
to
I think we have a
next
here we
one.
go.
All right.
Marketing associate at Uline, Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Oh man. Love Uline. You know what Uline is?
No, I don't actually.
Man, so Uline, they sell all sorts of like they're like an everything store for contractors or
Okay.
warehouses. So they send these
Yeah.
awesome catalogs. They're like 2 inches thick, and they've got literally everything. They've
Love
got
it.
shelving and tools
Yeah.
and containers and wire nuts and like literally all this, gloves, all this stuff. But my dad was he's a contractor, so we got Uline catalog monthly my entire life growing up, and I love to look through them. I actually get the Uline catalog still because I order stuff from them from time to time.
Yeah.
I love to look through them. It's like part of the signature Uline brand is like their catalog is so valuable. So this is a role in marketing. I would focus whatever activities I'm going to do on the attention front, I would focus it on the catalog. I think that's like a great thing. So maybe you're finding a catalog and you're cutting out a bunch of pages, and you're like, maybe doing the kind of like, again, this is totally silly, but you're doing the like the serial killer lettering,
Like a ransom
like
note.
taking it like a ransom note, and you're putting it on the cover. And then, make it look like a Uline catalog still. And then inside you're putting your resume, an awesome cover letter, some things like that. And then you're finding the right person and mailing it to them. Like something silly like that, obviously. Uline is a larger corporation. So, just understand things like that sometimes don't go off as well the larger the company gets. But if you can find the right person, that could be a hit. But I really would find something related to their catalog, which is a big part of their brand, to signal. I think for this role, it's funny. They say it's a marketing associate role, and then their minimum requirements are, first of all, silly bachelor's degree. But they say Microsoft Office, Excel, communication, and then you're available to travel for trade shows and vendors. They really don't have anything about actual marketing activities here. You're reviewing customer feedback. Okay, maybe go pull 100 customer reviews from online, read them, catalog them positive or negative, and then within positive and negative, catalog them, group them by different benefits that they're calling out, and like create this cluster map of like, here are things that people love about Uline, here are things that people, where we're missing the mark. Here's an opportunity for us to, improve the messaging. All of the negative ones, come up with some canned template of like how you could respond to those when people write a negative review calling out, one of these specific things that where you identified a trend. So maybe it's like the shipping times are bad, or I frequently order from Uline and my the things I order are damaged, or the pricing is too low, whatever it is. Like you're going to identify some objections if you read enough customer reviews. But what you're doing is you found a specific thing that they're calling out in the job description. You took initiative, and then you not just took initiative to go do the thing. You found a way to create value, which is, I'm creating these shortcut template boilerplate responses for different common pain points that customers have. Here's how we're going to respond. Here's how we're going to handle this. Again, whether they even use the thing that you created, you manufactured a really strong signal. And so if you can get attention first, whether it's doing the ransom note, Uline catalog thing or something different, you are then, putting something that signals value in front of them. I think you can still do the cold outreach. You can do the, so LinkedIn message, email, phone call to some degree. It's marketing role. Another thing here, so trade shows and vendors, maybe you're identifying a handful of trade shows that they're at. If there's something within your driving distance of you and there's an upcoming trade show, like go show up at the trade show with your resume and say,
Yeah.
hey, I found this job posting. You're like going in person. Anyway, there's a handful of different things that you can do along those lines. All of the other things that we've talked about are true. Generally, like, you want to be professional. You want to signal that you're willing to learn, eager to learn, you're coachable. What you lack in experience, you make up for in work ethic and great attitude.
Yeah.
You're willing to get your hands dirty and do whatever it takes, like all of those things. But, kind of this combination of 1-2 punch of get attention, signal value is still what I would do.
Yeah. I don't have anything to add here, really. I think you covered it. It's kind of like you just said, the theme behind it all is that you just want to put in the right amount of effort and the right kinds of effort in order to just have the right conversations, get yourself in the right rooms, and eventually you'll get the outcomes you're seeking. So I think that's overall the lesson to be learned here.
Yep. Awesome. Let's move on to the last one here.
Do I have one up here? Yes, I do. All right. Customer experience agent at Prosper Marketplace, Phoenix, Arizona. I think you said you had some, you were a fan of this company, yeah?
Yeah, I actually love Prosper. So I know a little bit about this company. I just found this role randomly. I didn't go the next level deep and do research, but my hunch up. So Prosper is a peer-to-peer lending marketplace, which I think is it's brilliant innovation. So basically, there are two sides to Prosper's marketplace. There are borrowers and there are investors or lenders. So it's peer-to-peer. So people can sign up as investors. They can dump money into Prosper's fund. This is grossly oversimplified, by the way, but investors can dump money into Prosper's general lending fund, or they can bid on loans or whatever. And then on the other side, there are people who are borrowers. They are submitting a credit profile for different types of loans, a personal loan, a medical debt, home repairs, whatever. And they're creating this lender or a borrower profile that investors can then try and fund those loans. And it's a good way to generate cash on cash return for investors. But it's I've been following this company for probably 6-7 years, and they've their product continues to get better. I really like what they're doing. I like the company. I have not interacted with the company much other than just observationally. So I'll put that. I don't know if it's a great place to work or not. We'll keep that on the shelf and just talk a little bit more about how can you stand out for this role. Customer experience agent. It's hybrid is what they said. Entry level. They specifically talk about it's a high school diploma level job. So they don't call out bachelor's degree. They're not looking for someone that has a ton of experience, I don't think, although familiarity with customer service software and CRM systems is valuable. So if you can figure out what CRM they're using, that's a plus. Maybe do a quick, 1 week, 2 week crash course on that so that you can include it. I'm generally familiar with this. My hunch is that it's a lot of phone call. So maybe not quite a call center since it's hybrid. But there's probably a lot of that type of component in it where you're either directly in office answering inbound calls, or you are doing outbound communication of some time to, make sure people are paying their loans, or checking on people's experience, or doing, investor relations for that. You're customer facing though. And so things that you need to be comfortable doing, you need to be comfortable picking up the phone or answering the phone and having a conversation. You need to be have great bedside manner. So you're calm, cool, and collected, even if somebody's yelling at you. Things that you can do, you can begin to study any of their knowledge base online. Go look up reviews. Familiarize yourself with their product suite. Some of those are easy things you do, and then you create some pitch. You try and find the right person. We've talked about this. You are, signaling to get it. You're trying to get attention first, then you're signaling value. But you're packaging up some of these things to do. Hey, huge fan of Prosper. Here's some things that I went, when I found this role, got really excited. Here's some things that I found in my research that I think are easy opportunities, for me to come in and be valuable from day one. I've already begun to familiarize myself with your product suite. I'm already very familiar with what you do, who you serve. And I've also taken the liberty of reading the past 2 years of customer reviews. And I've identified some trends of things that are positive, things that are negative, similar to the last role. And I'm really comfortable being able to communicate these. I'm willing to learn. I'm eager to learn quickly as well. And I think this is a role, again, because it is customer facing, you're doing a lot of actual oral communication. I think it's great to do a video where somebody can hear you. Seeing you is great too, but they can hear you. Maybe another thing that you do here is you get a friend and you create some type of fake scenario. And you have a friend, they're an angry customer. You give them a short script. Like, you're calling in, you're an angry customer. Here's your problem. And you're the customer service agent. And you're recording this phone call. And it's you objection handling. Obviously, it's your friend. So, like, you can kind of have them, like, help you hit softballs out of the park. So it comes across like you're great on the phones. But then you record that. It's like a 2-minute dispute resolution phone call. And you include that in your pitch. And they can listen to it. And it's like, wow, this person does have great, they're very articulate. They're comfortable, cool, calm, collected on the phones. They're able to handle, they're able to de-escalate a situation. Like, probably somebody that's going to be great in this role. So something to that effect, I'd package up. I'd try to find, 1 to 2 people in the organization that I could send some type of cold pitch to, LinkedIn, email, phone call. And that's sort of how I'd go about this one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably the best. It's similar to the other ones. And this one seems more like there's a lot here I think you can take and kind of implement into a pitch. It's similar to that SDR role. Like, you can signal that you're already capable, or at the very least willing to become proficient at the things that they're going to ask of you. So it's a very similar one. I think that's all great advice.
All right, that's all I got today. So this was fun. We may have to do some more breakdowns like this in the future. If you are listening and you have other suggestions, so like resume reviews, job posting reviews, again, I'm going to throw the caveat out there. We are primarily focused on entry-level, early career type roles, early career opportunities. So keep that in mind. But if there are anything within that realm that you want help with, how to write a cover letter, how to create a strong pitch, all of those type of things. We'd love to do more breakdowns like this. If there are other pieces of advice, shoot us an email, playbook@discoverpraxis.com. Leave us a comment below. Leave us a 5-star review if you have the time. You like our content so more people can find it. Smash subscribe, and we'll be back again with another episode. Thanks for listening.